2024 is the year of elections, with at least 50 countries around the world going to the polls.
2024 is a year of what-ifs for democracies.
This year's results ended in a strong showing for the far right across much of the European Union.
Democracy has been surprisingly resilient. The 2024 presidential campaign went from deja vu to utter chaos.
Look what happened. Is this crazy?
Challenger was so goated. Such a gay movie. Holy shit.
Time when the world is so turbulent, the Olympics allows people around the globe to share some common experiences. But it's athletes creating memorable moments that really got people talking this time.
Dodgers have won the World Series!
Rafael Nadal has announced his retirement from professional tennis.
Interest in women's sports has never been higher.
I didn't know that was happening.
I've seen it, yeah.
I don't like it when they intersplice things that are not chronologically ordered. I can't be alone in this, right? It's a pet peeve, but I hate when they do this and then they will like splice in shit that just happened and it's like, dude, come on, it's the beginning. Stop saying 127. It should be chronological. It's not to do with autism. Not everything I do is autism. Oh my God.
This summer's music scene has been dominated by a wave of young women singers.
Describe a Brat. Me.
Very demure, very mindful.
Beyonce is making history, the first black woman to top the Billboard country.
I saw a post about Beyonce waving the American flag on top of a horse, and someone was like, y'all, this is fascist propaganda or whatever. And I know you're not supposed to say that, but I do think that there's something going on in American society. I'm not trying to be the friend who's too woke, but there is something going on in American society right now where a lot of the people that otherwise would be playing the role of like hashtag liberal resistance or whatever are absolutely leaning into like American patriotism. Maybe that puts me in woke of the day, but honestly, I'm just noticing some cultural changes that are occurring, and the overarching attitude from otherwise liberal media kind of caving in, capitulating, making way for unrestricted right-wing sentiment. Even if the irony in and of itself is that Beyonce is like supposed to be critiquing American culture with her art, the imagery in and of itself is like so heavy-handed that it's making me feel a little weird about it. At a time where I feel like less people are proud of being American and the only people that are demonstrably proud of being American are like racist, it feels like liberal forms of art are leaning in that direction as well, to be like, no, this is a permission, like you should be proud to be American. Now the difference, of course, is that this is not post 9/11. There is no immediate deliberate military conquest that we are associating this wave of patriotism with, and it kind of feels like the last ditch effort of a dying empire to be like, nah, we got one last good fight in us. That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong, and I think I'm wrong. I probably am wrong, and don't listen to anything I say. I don't listen to music. I have noticed resurfacing of like American patriotism or a permission structure for like some of the most damning right-wing elements from unexpected vectors, from unexpected circles, such as liberal content creators in general. And I don't know, it's a cause for unease, but maybe I'm wrong.
Charts.
Bitcoin just hit $100,000.
Inflation is still too high.
I'm looking for a man in finance, the trust fund.
A multi-state manhunt. A suspect involved in the murder of United Healthcare CEO.
The hottest cold-blooded killer in America.
Another drone-type object traversing this airspace.
A Microsoft outage is causing problems for airlines, banks, government agencies, and companies around the world.
2 Boeing astronauts stranded on the International Space Station.
That's just the way it goes sometimes.
2024, we're not flying this year. No, we're postponed till 2025.
It is virtually certain 2024
could be the planet's hottest
year on record.
We can see that we're not ready for the storms that we're receiving now, and it's going to be worse in the future.
Okay, I clowned on you, but the videos being out of order is triggering me now. Yeah, suck me. Okay, there you go. If you're gonna do something like this, you have to make it chronological. Thank you. Yeah, it's like, why? Why are you putting things from autumn and then slapping it back to like winter in the beginning of the year? Put it in chronological order. I don't like it.
Those in the industry call it a permacrisis, a sense that the world is lurching from one extreme event to another.
Russia's war in Ukraine enters its third year.
So thousands have been displaced across the Haitian capital.
The humanitarian crisis in Sudan is worsening.
South Korea's parliament voting to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol
over his short-lived declaration of martial law.
Israel has expanded its bombardment of Lebanon, striking new areas.
It's alleged that Netanyahu Gallant used starvation as a tool of war.
This also is, this is going to come back tenfold. The unimaginable cruelty and the expedient ways in which the Democrat-backed government actively targeted and created political persecution upon those who dared criticize America's involvement with our foreign ally. How quickly the Democrats stamped this shit down, terrifying.
We did not get justice once again.
I don't like that this is a fact of life.
Screw you if you think this is a fact of life that I should just get over.
And they're meant to stay in the Middle East.
Decades of savage, horrific rule over in a matter of days.
We have so much hope. We hope for better and better future for Syria.
History has been made in Mexico. Claudia Sheinbaum has been elected as the country's first ever female president.
Cameroon has become the first country to roll out a new malaria vaccine.
France has become the only country to guarantee abortion as a constitutional right.
For so long, I've always wanted to be different.
Dude, I think I don't know if it's like almost a hog-like tendency in me, but I have developed so much resentment for Hollywood, especially over the last couple of years, where I legitimately like any sort of like representation of like the glitz and glamour of Hollywood immediately has this disgusting resentment when I see it. I'm like, how dare you celebrate yourselves at a time when people are suffering? And I think that's me being too woke. I will admit, once again, as me being too woke. And I do also categorize a lot of the quote-unquote drama that people are hyper invested in terms of like Hollywood celebrities, whether it be Johnny Depp or whether it be any number of different things like the Justin Baldoni shit, like with Blake Lively, where I'm just like, why do you care so much? Like, I get that there is a lesson that you can draw out of that about systemic harm, and I certainly cover it from that perspective, but people get far too invested in shit like that and not necessarily invested enough in the other shit that we talk about on a daily basis, like the ongoing atrocities in Gaza or any number of different awful things that happen all around the world. And it makes me so mad, and it makes me think lesser of the individual that is like coming at me with like serious smoke. Like, you're not taking this Blake Lively shit seriously. It's like, I know that my brain is warped. I understand that. And I try my very best to be a normal person. But I think because of how much I cover this awful shit that's happening in the world, I can never get myself to feel even remotely passionate or even remotely interested in Hollywood related shit. And it makes me so mad when people who otherwise are not exactly invested in politics whatsoever dive into the discourse when it comes down to defending the interests of like some rich person in Hollywood, not because of the genuinely held convictions that they have about like whatever political goals that they want to get across, whether it's like combating misogyny or whatever, but instead because it's a Hollywood celebrity that you have developed an unhealthy attitude towards, an unhealthy obsession with, and that's the reason why you get like so mad. Why don't you care about Blake Lively, girl? 40,000 people died this year from inadequate access to healthcare is like how I encounter this, especially because like I do talk about misogyny. I talk about sexual assault, sexual harassment in the workplace, things of that nature all the time. But when I do this within the context of like a normal person, not a Hollywood celebrity, nobody gives a fuck. But they only care about like endlessly critiquing from the most like optics focus framework when it is like their favorite celebrity, and it's very frustrating. And I think the moment that I mention this, there will be people exactly that will hear what I'm saying, and the people that I'm criticizing will chime in to be like, no, you don't understand. It's because you're immoral and wrong, and your coverage is actually wrong on this. And I have a difference in opinion in the way that you're covering the story, because I think that this is like unearthing some resilient misogynistic attitude.
And now I realize I just need to be myself.
We don't want to bring children into a world where from the very beginning they believe everything's hopeless. When if we get together, if we roll up our sleeves and take action, each of us doing what we feel is important, then there is hope for the future.
It's important to remember that we all have a lot of fears, and that's okay.
That's how people see you. There are wage workers thinking to themselves, just like this chat, who can't pick up arms law. That's how people see you. No, for sure. But see, the difference is I understand that resentment. I totally understand that resentment, which is why whenever people yell at me or chirp at me endlessly, especially if it's like being random ass drama that is irrelevant to like a larger preconceived bias that people have or anything like that, I totally get it. Ironically enough, this is a conversation I had with Ethan as well in the past. If you remember, I had this conversation with Ethan when people were yelling at me about buying the house. What did I tell him at the time? And during leftovers, I was like, I get why people have resentment towards me. I totally understand it. People are suffering financially. Their lives suck. And when they see some rich asshole be able to achieve something that they only can see as a dream in the future, and it's at odds with the way that they see the world, with their misunderstandings of what socialism is, then yeah, of course they're going to carry a lot of resentment towards someone like myself, especially when they're not going to deeply examine why they feel that way. So I get it. It's just funny to put me in the same categorization as like some of these other people who are incredibly powerful and incredibly wealthy and do not have even remotely your best interest in mind, both ideologically or anything of that sort.